Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star Part 209 based on novel. So let's start. Universe Master chose me because, firstly, I'm an heir, Zhuguang Knight said. Secondly, I've decided to give up on the Beast God path because I didn't make enough improvements, and I'm planning to follow the path of space and time. Thirdly, I have my alternative bodies. And finally, as one of the Kong Wan clan, I'm proficient in mind control. It'll be most cost-effective for me to assassinate Blade River Emperor. Yes, you are indeed the most suitable one out of everyone in Bugrace Alliance, said the creature on the throne. However, you shall pay a huge price. Losing one of the bodies of a Universe Knight will cost you dearly. Besides, you'll lose the opportunity to inherit and step into the ancestral god school forever. Zhuguang Knight stood still, listening respectfully. The Alliance will compensate you for everything you'll lose, the beautiful creature said. Do you have any idea how you will assassinate him? Based on what I know, Blade River Emperor has been accepting challenges, and he stays in his palace the rest of the time, Zhuguang Knight said. An heir has absolute control over its own palace. If anyone dares to trespass, the five-color Aurora Lake will attack the trespasser and kill it instantly. I can only wait for the human to step out. Will you lure him out? Asked the creature on the throne. The most tedious way, but also the best way, is simply to wait for the human to step out, Zhuguang Knight said respectfully. The beautiful creature looked down at Zhuguang Knight and smiled. You are calm. However, I have to remind you that you had better utilize mind control over Blade River Emperor. Once you take his mind, the humans might turn back time and resurrect him. Of course, you can also choose to kill him directly if you can't control his mind. Yes, Zhuguang Knight answered respectfully. Bohinia Island. Zhuguang Knight walked slowly while all the other heirs tried to keep their distance from him, showing respect for a Universe Knight, who demanded deference. Zhuguang Knight was pleased by this. However, he frowned when he saw the distant palace resembling Earth's Jiangnan. I'm a Universe Knight here, he said. However, to creatures in my clan and the Bugrace Alliance, I'm nothing compared to that human. The only way to kill Blade River Emperor is to allow myself to be killed by the five-color Aurora Lake. The most terrifying proposition is to then be confined to living a secret life ever after, or being confined only to the territory of Bugrace. Otherwise, the human race will kill me to revenge their peerless talent. Pathetic. Zhuguang Knight felt helpless and hopeless. Even his clan couldn't resist the order of the Bugrace, let alone him. Perhaps he was indeed powerful on an individual level, but he was nothing compared to the peak creatures of the universe. 2 days later, the shadowy, snake-like creature stood the peak of a mountain and looked down. Sacrifice myself to kill him. Master of Sky Wolf promised to bring me back by reserving the time. However, I will lose the opportunity to follow the Beast God path forever even if I'm resurrected. Also, I'll be hunted until the end of time by the human race. He could practically still hear the roaring of the Master of Sky Wolf. Kill him. The automaton race, the demon race, and the bug race had all sent their powerful ones. However, they had all sent knights of other races rather than those from their own races. They had to pay the other races rather than be too tyrannical in their demands. That was the price of preserving the alliance. Time passed, and Luo Feng continued to fight 1,000 battles a day, as was his routine. The demon race, the bug race, and the automaton race all awaiting the good news. They all knew that humans had already perceived that they would try to assassinate Luo Feng. However, they thought that unless Blade River Emperor hid in his palace or was guarded by a Universe Knight every time he stepped out of his palace, someone would surely make good on the first chance to kill him. Rumble. In the world of battle, Luo Feng, clothed in black armor, flew above a city in ruins. He had black wings on his back, and as he waved his hands, 600 golden balls flew back. After almost 2 years and more than 620,000 battles, Luo Feng had finally finished them all. All the battles are finished, Luo Feng whispered as he looked at the waves of godly power afar. On Bohinia Island, there were plenty of palaces for the heirs from different races. Several thousand miles away from Luo Feng's mansion, there was an ancient mansion like a massive dead tree, which was the residence for an emperor-level heir from the Bug clan. On top of the manor, a Universe Knight stood silently. "Orders from the Alliance," said the Light Perception Knight to the emperor-level heir. "I am to stay at your palace temporarily, and you must not divulge this information." "Yes," the heir replied respectfully. "Knight, if you want me to do anything for you, please tell me. I will be in the silent room." "All right. Off you go." The Light Perception Knight nodded. After the heir left, the Light Perception Knight was the only one on the top floor. Sitting with his legs crossed, he looked over the railings at the space before Blade River Emperor's mansion in the distance. Although the Bug Clan Alliance has nearly 10,000 heirs on Borhinia Island, only a few dozen of them can see Blade River Emperor's mansion clearly from their dwellings, Light Perception Knight said to himself. This is the only way to watch over him. Once Blade River Emperor comes out, I can spot him. Today, his battles come to an end. He will probably come out. Light Perception Knight stared at Luo Feng's mansion. In total, 626,183 heirs had challenged Luo Feng. Only days after Luo Feng commenced his battles, various clans had contacted each other and confirmed that this was the correct number. As Luo Feng fought 1,000 battles every day, today was the day he was scheduled to finish all the battles. With a bit of his consciousness connecting to the world of glory, Light Perception Knight looked at Luo Feng's ever-changing battle records in the Black Book. "The last 32 battles," he muttered. At the thought of Luo Feng's formidable battle records, Light Perception Knight couldn't help but have mixed feelings. The tremendous number of glory points owned by Luo Feng was simply unbelievable, rendering Light Perception Knight envious. Prior to Blade River Emperor, no others had ever gained this many glory points. If the rest of the great beings knew that you were so powerful, they wouldn't challenge you unless they were confident enough to win, Light Perception Knight said to himself. If I could possess these glory points, I might have the chance to become a universe overlord. He checked the book again. All the battles have concluded. With his eyes lit up, Light Perception Knight stared at Luo Feng's mansion more intensively. Apart from the 3 knights sent from the Automaton clan, the Bug clan, and the Demon clan, several great beings from other powerhouses were also watching silently. Though they did not step in, they didn't mind viewing a significant battle. Those powerhouses had already speculated that the 3 pinnacle races adjacent to the human race would not allow Blade River Emperor to continue growing stronger. Only the toughest side would survive this battle. Everyone was waiting silently. 1 hour went by. Then 2 hours. Then 3 hours. Including the Light Perception Knight, the 3 knights were hidden in 3 different places where they could observe Blade River Emperor's mansion. All of them waited patiently, including the great beings of the other powerhouses. Perhaps Blade River Emperor is tired after fighting continuously for so long. He will probably come out soon. A day went by. Then 2 days. Then 3 days. Finally, the Universe Knights and Emperor-level heirs that had been continuously staring at Luo Feng's mansion became a bit restless. Is Blade River Emperor going to hide in his mansion forever? They wondered. But he must go out to accept his inheritances at the inheritance passageway before the palace of Borhinia Island, right? The other clans were quite bewildered. But the fact was, Luo Feng had never come out. The virtual universe, the 9-star bay of Black Dragon Mountain. For the past few days, Luo Feng had done nothing but spend time with his family. Although he was insanely persistent about his cultivation, he could not neglect his family, and he admitted that he owed them a lot. "Dad, you know what?" said Luo Ping with a laugh. "Younger brother caused big troubles while adventuring in the universe. But what's amazing was that the sovereign of Ganwu, the most powerful being in the Ganwu universe, saved him." Shushin couldn't help but say, "Luo Feng, discipline your son. He indeed has made a mess this time. What's the matter?" Luo Feng looked at his son, Luo Hai, curiously. "Nothing," said Luo Hai. "I just wanted to make a name for myself with my strength without showing off my identity while adventuring in the universe. And then I pissed someone off." Luo Hai pursed his lips. He was very arrogant because he had an undying level emperor teacher. "So what? My dad is the disciple of the primal Chaos City leader. Why should I be afraid of that douchebag?" So, you guys fought? Luo Feng also smiled. Luo Hai nodded. Yes. That idiot was barely able to beat me, all right? However, his undying level emperor teacher showed up in the end. Furiously, he attacked me, and the plants that I brought with me were no match for him. Because I was adventuring with my friends from Ganwu, the news that we got involved in a fight with that douchebag traveled back to Ganwu swiftly. Unexpectedly, the sovereign of Ganwu showed up in person and protected us. Luo Feng was a bit surprised that, over the course of 10,000 years, his son had, for the first time, provoked a great being who was an undying level emperor. Be more cautious next time, said Luo Feng. Since his son Luo Hai wanted to follow his path and become a great being, it was expected that he would encounter some dangers and setbacks. All his son could do was remain alert. Luo Feng, the sovereign of Ganwu, has treated our family well, said Xu Xin. Not only did he save Luo Hai a few years ago, but he also bestowed us a large patch of territories as big as 12 starfields a year ago. What's more, those territories were the 12 starfields around our hometown, Black Dragon Mountain Starfield. The royals of the Ganwu universe were the ones who had made such an arrangement to compensate the royals of those 12 starfields. A year ago, Luo Feng was a bit startled. At that time, he had been halfway through his battles against the 620,000 heirs. It seems that the sovereign of Ganwu is well informed, said Luo Feng to himself. Without visiting Luo Feng, the Ganwu emperor had quietly helped the Luo family time and again, and had even saved Luo Feng's son Luo Hai. Usually, the Ganwu emperor would not know about such a triviality as Luo Hai and his friends being in danger. Apparently, the Ganwu emperor must have instructed that any information about Luo Hai be delivered to him directly. That was the only explanation for why the Ganwu emperor could arrive at the battlefield so swiftly. Emperor of Ganwu, I will remember your favor, Luo Feng said to himself. 9 days had passed since Luo Feng had finished his battles. On Borhinia Island, the great beings of the various races that wanted to kill Luo Feng were still waiting patiently for him to come out. Luo Feng's mansion, in a pavilion close to a lake. Filled with enormous pride, Luo Feng held a wineglass and said to himself, 621,081 wins and 5,102 losses. Over 610,000 glory points. With every 100 glory points, I can exchange for 1 inheritance opportunity. Haha. Those heirs of other clans planned to humiliate me, but it is I who have benefited significantly. Every single one of my 620,000 or so rivals were peerless talents, but only 6 were undoubtedly stronger than me. Though plenty other rivals defeated me, they got lucky just as I was lucky enough to beat other heirs. In respect to accumulated points, Luo Feng ranked first. After all, his 621,081 wins were an impressive feat. The great being who ranked second only had 9,822 wins. In terms of win-loss ratio, this runner-up, who had won 9,822 times and lost only 3 times, was far better than Luo Feng. In summary, 6 of the 9 most potent third-stage heirs had battled against Luo Feng. Besides that, nearly 10,000 heirs whose power had been on the same level as Luo Feng had fought him. After so many battles, I have gained more comprehension about the Tao of Beast God. Nevertheless, there's no rush for me to accept my inheritances, for it's only been 2 years since my last inheritance. I need to concentrate on internalizing the experience I have gained from these 620,000 battles before I receive the inheritances. Through this opportunity, I should completely understand the third stage inheritance. After that, I can set out to search for the special life suitable for my third body. Luo Feng had made detailed plans a long time ago and couldn't afford any sloppiness. Without any hesitation, Luo Feng sat with his legs crossed and started to study the Tao of Beast God above the pavilion near a lake. On Borhinia Island, Light Perception Knight and the other 2 knights still waited anxiously for Luo Feng to appear. The heirs from other powerhouses had already given up. Many of them cursed Luo Feng secretly. He has been hiding in his house without going out, they said. What a hideous and spineless human. But with so many glory points, how could you not go to the land of inheritance? 1 year passed. Then 2 years. 3 years. 100 years. 200 years. 300 years. In the beginning, the light perception knight observed Luo Feng's mansion with his full attention for 3 years. He also cursed him secretly. Later, as he started to cultivate, he only used a bit of his consciousness to watch over Luo Feng and didn't bother to curse the human anymore. As time went by, the light perception knight brought out an intelligent robot and opted to let the robot supervise Luo Feng's mansion. He didn't want to watch Luo Feng's dwelling place any longer. Just wait, he muttered. One day, you will go to receive inheritances, and I'll be waiting for you. Light perception knight had no other option but to wait. In a blink of an eye, 900 years had passed. Wow! 900 years of contemplation, Luo Feng said joyfully. Those 620,000 battles were especially beneficial to me. I have achieved amazing progress in space law comprehension and beast god conception. And I am close to fulfilling the 3rd stage of the Tao of Beast God. Luo Feng had been cultivating the law of the fusion of space and gold. By comprehending fusion, Luo Feng had also gained more insights about space. Now, both my original earthling body and my golden-horned beast second body can teleport, he thought. But I still need to comprehend the other 2 major aspects regarding space law. Suddenly, Luo Feng stood up. Time to go out. If I go to receive inheritances now, I believe that I can fulfill my 3rd volume right away. Luo Feng looked at the gate to his mansion in the distance. Moments later, amid the silence, Luo Feng pulled open his mansion's gate, which issued a squeaking sound, and walked out with a smile. At this time, no heirs were personally watching Luo Feng's residence. Even the 3 universe knights had arranged robots or slaves to do their job, who now reported the news. My lord, the door is open. My lord, Blade River Emperor has come out. My lord, he is here. With a great shudder, the 3 universe knights in 3 dwellings on Borhinia Island woke up. In an instant, several other heirs who had also sent out slaves or robots to monitor Blade River Emperor's mansion were on the move as well. Light Perception Knight heard his intelligent robot servant scream eagerly. He opened his eyes and saw Luo Feng step out of the door. Blade River Emperor. Hostility flashed through Light Perception Knight's eyes, and murderous rage filled his heart. He had waited 900 years for this moment. A universe knight for a sector lord. You should be flattered, Blade River Emperor. Light Perception Knight suddenly disappeared. The seniors from Northern Territory Alliance, Prison Race Alliance, and the 9 Territory Alliance stared at the palace of Blade River Emperor. The seniors had clear orders, and the demon race, the automaton race, and the bug race would send assassins to kill the human, Blade River Emperor. Do you think it will be the doom of Blade River Emperor or the loss of the 3 peak races? They mused. How will they kill Blade River Emperor? Over 10,000 heirs were watching in secret, holding their breath. Luo Feng walked out the door with a smile on his face. He waved his hands, and the door closed. Without any warning, a huge figure appeared in front of Luo Feng. It was a beast from another race, and it was covered with mud. Its eyes looked misty but filled with aggressiveness. Rumble. The beast fluttered towards Luo Feng at an incredibly fast speed. Its body emanated an aura that could tremble the surroundings. Its godly body was burning. Said Luo Feng. Light Perception Knight witnessed the beast covered with mud appearing by teleportation. He was dazed. Mud-swallowing knight. Light Perception Knight was sharp enough to evade the scene by flying 1,000 miles away. That mud-swallowing knight is trying to kill Blade River Emperor too? Light Perception Knight was surprised. I'll watch first. I only teleported nearby, without attacking him first, so the 5-color Aurora Lake wouldn't I planned to kill Luo Feng. I'll see how this plays out. Luo Feng was attacked by mud-swallowing knight's burning godly body the moment he stepped out of his palace. Wu Wing, Luo Feng shouted, his body trembling. Wings appeared at his back, and he tried to dodge the attack. Rumble. A beam of godly power drilled into Luo Feng's brain, trying to control Luo Feng. Trying to make me a slave, said Luo Feng. It won't be that easy. Luo Feng had an incredibly firm will. Under the attack of the godly power, Luo Feng's soul wasn't tempted at all. Went. Tower Pearl was guarding the beast god soul and defended it from that godly power. Mud-swallowing knight, who had moved quite close to Luo Feng, was surprised to find that he had failed to control Blade River Emperor's mind. He was a universe knight, and even burning his godly body wasn't enough to do it. Rumble. The five-color Aurora Lake, which was normally tranquil, started to vibrate fiercely. Traces of Aurora dove toward Mud-swallowing knight. However, Mud-swallowing knight was already burning his godly body before Luo Feng, and he was speedy. He didn't even glance at the terrifying five-color Aurora. Die. Mud-swallowing knight opened his mouth. His enormous tongue, covered with drops of muddy water, came at Luo Feng like a charging wall. This was one of his talent techniques. His tongue had tremendous eroding power. Even universe knights' godly bodies couldn't resist it. Luo Feng's Shawu Wing was indeed fast, but it couldn't compare to a universe knight's burning godly body. Mud-swallowing knight stuck out his tongue like a frog, and it struck fast as lightning. Luo Feng was captured before he could move a muscle. Luo Feng looked at Mud-swallowing knight the second he was captured. Mud-swallowing knight disregarded it. The second that giant tongue entangled Luo Feng, the eroding power went to work. Shawu Wing wasn't eroded in the slightest, but Luo Feng's armor immediately started to crack. Holes were burned through it. The tongue ate through the armor and lashed against Luo Feng's body like a whip. The eroding power didn't kill Luo Feng, but the force was extraordinary. Rumble. Even with Luo Feng's defending power, his body could not stand up to the powerful attack. In an instant, he was annihilated, his body turned into nothing. All that was left was his broken armor, his complete wings, the Tower Pearl, the star map, a drop of General Soul, and his solid world ring. Five-color auroras dived. They were like beams of lightning arrows, and they locked the surrounding space, preventing Mud-swallowing from teleporting himself to freedom. He was within the range of five-color Aurora Lake. Ha ha! Mud-swallowing knight lifted his head and roared. He stared at the diving Aurora. There was no shame in dying at the hands of the guarding true treasure of the ancestral god school. The auroras were over 10,000 kilometers long. However, they were shrinking as they fell, narrowing to the size of arrows. The arrows pierced through Mud-swallowing knight's body. Instantly, most of the body vanished like foam. A moment after that, what little remained also disappeared while the auroras flew back. Everything went silent. The five auroras were still flying gradually. The damaged ground in front of Luo Feng's palace was suddenly fully repaired, as spotless as a snowfield in ice hell. Dead! Gasped Light Perception Knight. He had watched from afar. The five-color Aurora Lake, ranked among the most powerful true treasures in the universe, was so mighty that it had annihilated a universe knight instantly. The five-color Aurora Lake was indeed terrifically forceful. Light Perception Knight felt fortunate, scared, and regretful all at once. Anyway, now that Blade River Emperor is dead, I'll report back to the bug race, Light Perception Knight thought. The heirs watching the events from afar were all dazed. Blade River Emperor died? Just like that. He's dead. He was annihilated. And they began to spread the news. Among the stars, Master of Skywolf received the news almost at the same time. Haha. Mud-swallowing knight killed Blade River Emperor, he growled gleefully, surrounded by flames. Haha. He's dead. That annoying little one is dead. I hope Mud-swallowing knight managed to control his mind before he was killed. Either way, I've achieved my goal. The Primal Chaos City leader was trying to protect that human all this time. What a shame. Even the Primal Chaos City leader wouldn't dare trespass on the holy grounds of the ancestral god school. Master of Skywolf stood in front of Skywolf Palace and roared joyfully, shaking all of the surrounding space, exhilarated not only because the human genius had been destroyed, but because he had finally gained his revenge. On Borhinia Island, lots of flying shadows approached. Almost all the heirs from the various races came out of their palaces. The energy waves created by Mud-swallowing knight's burning godly body had been massive, and the auroras from the five-color Aurora Lake had rocked the surrounding space. Everyone knew that something terrible had happened. What happened? Said Seven-Blade Emperor as he arrived. He had teleported himself to Luo Feng's palace the second he sensed the waves caused by a universe knight's burning godly power. He had witnessed the auroras killing Mud-Swallowing Knight, but Mud-Swallowing Knight's tongue had shrouded Luo Feng's body by the time he'd made it there, so Seven-Blade Emperor hadn't even seen Luo Feng. Who did Mud-Swallowing Knight kill? Why did the auroras come down? Seven-Blade Emperor asked, confused. Seven-Blade Emperor, answered several onlookers. Cha Man Emperor, Li Emperor, and Thousand Rain Emperor all arrived via teleportation. Who died? Asked Thousand Rain Emperor. Who did the five-color Aurora Lake kill? They were less informed than Seven-Blade Emperor and hadn't even witnessed the death of Mud-Swallowing Knight. It was Mud-Swallowing Knight, said Seven-Blade Emperor, but I don't know who he killed. Seven-Blade Emperor's eyes went wide as he noticed the treasures scattered in front of the palace. They belonged to Mud-Swallowing Knight and Luo Feng. Mud-Swallowing Knight had known he was going to die. Hence, he had left his precious treasures elsewhere. Luo Feng, on the other hand, had left quite a few. The most eye-catching one was the set of giant silver wings. Blade River Emperor was known for those wings, and rumor had it that the wings were a true treasure. Those wings, it was Blade River Emperor. Seven-Blade Emperor was dazed. He had already made up his mind to surpass Blade River Emperor, never expecting that something like this would happen. It was Blade River Emperor who died. Blade River Emperor was killed by Mud-Swallowing Knight. The voices of discussions among the other races came from afar. The Sector Lord who had garnered widespread fame across the universe, the heir who had gone through 620,000 battles and won a considerable number of glory points only 2 years after stepping in the land of inheritance, had just died. The news shocked every race. That was the wing left by the late Blade River Emperor, the onlookers said. A true treasure, that wing. Yes, you're right. That wing is a true treasure. Lots of the heirs from other races were stupefied by the news that Blade River Emperor had just been killed. However, lots of cheering was heard, and even those universe knights watching the fight from afar were staring at the objects in front of Luo Feng's palace, especially those huge silver wings. The temptation of a true treasure couldn't be overstated. The numerous heirs and universe knights floating in midair all stared at the eye-catching, giant silver wings before the manor gate, all eager to claim them. That is a true treasure, said a universe knight. If I could get one, it would be so valuable that I wouldn't need to come to the land of inheritance ever again. A creaking sound. Surprisingly, the closed gate to Luo Feng's mansion opened again, startling the numerous heirs in the distance. Wasn't Blade River Emperor dead? Why was his gate opening from the inside? An emperor-level, undying great being, whose godly body seemed like being carved of diamonds, stood at the gate in green armor. It was Luo Feng's slave, Honed Heart Emperor. Heirs, said Honed Heart Emperor loudly. Blade River Emperor is not dead. You are not permitted to touch his treasure. If any of you touches it, you are essentially stealing from Blade River Emperor. I believe that every heir present understands the rules of the ancestral god school. The five-color Aurora Lake protects every heir. If any of you dares to kill another heir, you will be attacked and annihilated. Seizing the treasures from other heirs is just as grievous a crime as assailing and killing them. By doing so, you will also be destroyed. Tens of millions of heirs looked at Honed Heart Emperor who dared not step out from the manor gate. The rumbling voice of a demon clan heir spoke up. Blade River Emperor is not dead. How do you know that? And who are you, anyway? I have never met you on Borhinia Island before. I am Blade River Emperor's sole slave, said Honed Heart Emperor. I have never left this mansion. If my master Blade River Emperor is dead, then so am I. If I am alive, it means that my master is also alive. I say again, none of you shall touch my master's treasure. If you touch it, you will be stealing from a fellow heir, and the five-color Aurora Lake will kill you. Honed Heart Emperor's voice echoed through the air of Borhinia Island. Tens of millions of heirs hesitated. If they stole a treasure from a living heir, they would certainly be killed. But if an heir was dead, his treasure would become ownerless and up for grabs to anyone. A figure dove at the silver wings. In the blink of an eye, a stream of black light had arrived at the mansion gate. I will make the most out of a bad situation, announced the black, shadowy figure. Having been trapped in the last step for billions of years without achieving any results, I shall gamble for success this time. I saw with my own eyes that the Blade River Emperor was annihilated. How can I trust the words of someone I don't even know? Humph. As long as the Blade River Emperor is truly dead and I acquire this pair of valuable wings, no other heirs will dare attack me. Besides, my clan members and I can exchange this true treasure for plenty of resources. Perhaps I can even break through the last phase and become a universe knight. Don't, shouted Honed Heart Emperor. Some greedy heirs were irritated. We hesitated, and now he is a step ahead of us. However, they dared not steal the treasure. It is mine, said the Black Shadow as he grabbed the silver wings. The moment his sharp claws touched the silver wings, an invisible force froze the area in a space ripple. Mud-swallowing Knight had not been able to escape from this very force last time, neither could the Black Shadow. No, said the Black Shadow as he felt himself locked in the space ripple. He issued a shrill cry. He refused to accept his doom. If he died today, all the treasures he had accumulated over many years would be gone. Even if his clan members resurrected him in the future, he would have lost his opportunity for inheritance. It had already been difficult for him to break through to the last step. He would only be worse off after being resurrected. A streak of aurora fell swiftly from the sky. The Black Shadow dropped the silver wings in his hands and flew across the sky, trying to escape. In an instant, the aurora punched a hole through his godly body. And then, like a bubble that had been popped, his godly body vanished. The streak of aurora flew up high again, returning to the endless five-color aurora. Silence filled all of Borhinia Island. Dead. The tens of millions of heirs in midair were dumbfounded. These were the peerless talents of many races, highly confident in their knowledge and abilities. It was impossible for them to blindly believe Honed Heart Emperor's words. Yet they now saw the truth with their own eyes. The five-color aurora had killed an heir for touching the silver wings. That meant Blade River Emperor was still alive. Blade River Emperor is still alive, muttered the Light Perception Knight, looking down at the mansion gate from afar. Eyes fraught with astonishment, he said, "How is this possible? He was obliterated. Does he have multiple bodies?" It was very rare to possess more than one body in the universe. Though a second body could be created, the strength and breathing of the second body would differ from the original. As a knight, Light Perception Knight would have quickly been able to tell a phony from the real thing. Apparently, it was the original body of Blade River Emperor, not his second body that had been destroyed. Light Perception Knight had a hard time accepting the idea. Multiple bodies? I am bestowed with this technique because I am the sacred son of the Kong Wan race. But he is just a human. How can he have that ability? What should I do, now that he is still alive? Light Perception Knight was very anxious. While the tens of millions of heirs in midair above Borhinia Island looked at the treasure on the ground in astonishment, a formidable force arrived. A dragon-like body covered over 6,000 miles. As a pair of giant wings unfolded, and the dragon head of the creature extended and looked downward. Suddenly, the tens of millions of heirs landed on the ground and bowed respectfully. "Master of the island," they said in greeting. It was the guarding beast god of Borhinia Island who had arrived. The guarding beast god's voice was a guttural rumble. How dare that universe knight attempt to assassinate Blade River Emperor at the vital center of the Ancestral God School? For blatantly violating the rules of the Ancestral God School, he deserves to be dead forever. Even if time and space were reversed, and Mud-swallowing Knight was resurrected, the Ancestral God School would hunt him down and kill him again. This formidable force terrified the heirs. How brutal the guarding beast god was. The Ancestral God School would chase and kill the revived Mud-swallowing Knight? Since the guarding beast god delivered the message, it must represent the opinions of the leaders of the Ancestral God School, thus frightening numerous heirs. Luckily for me, I didn't make a move first, said Light Perception Knight, shuddering at the thought. I can't believe other heirs would try to snatch Blade River Emperor's possession, the guarding beast god said, looking down with cold eyes. Blade River Emperor's inheritance token is not broken. Of course he is still alive. Although the Ancestral God School is lenient, once a rule is set, it cannot be challenged. For seizing an item from an heir, that thief deserved to die. Meanwhile, in a pavilion of Luo Feng's mansion, there was a cushion on the ground. The cushion had been transformed from the Mosha body and contained the world ring. Inside the world ring was Luo Feng's core. In the vast internal world, a naked, black-haired youth hovered high in the upper at the center of the world. "I did it again," chuckled Luo Feng. "I can't believe the other races tried to assassinate me at the cost of a universe night, and the very moment I went out. They must indeed think highly of me. Too bad they failed, they have only wasted a bit of my energy." A battle uniform condensed over the surface of Luo Feng's body. After Luo Feng's 620,000 battles, the news that other races were going to assassinate him spread widely. If other heirs suspected an assassination attempt, how could Luo Feng not have known about it? But he was very confident. Since he could have more than one body, he had nothing to worry about as long as he kept his core in his mansion, the safest place for him. Even if his original earthling body was destroyed, he could be revived. Furthermore, since his soul did not perish, his inheritance token would not be broken, and the five-color Aurora Lake would know that he was still alive. In that case, he knew that only he could touch his treasure. If anyone tried to take it, they would be attacked and killed by the five-color Aurora Lake. In other words, he had nothing to fear. That was why Luo Feng had exited his manor so intrepidly. Since the Tower Pearl guarded his soul, he was not intimidated by soul control. He had wanted to see what tricks the other races had up their sleeves. "Apart from the Universe Knight who attacked me, there was another Universe Knight who appeared suddenly but withdrew at the last moment," said Luo Feng. He shook his head. "Regrettably, after this battle, I believe he will be too afraid to attack me. He now knows it is useless to attack me, and he might even get himself killed for his trouble." Luo Feng left the internal world and arrived at the pavilion of his manor. The formidable guarding beast god silenced the heirs. Suddenly, they saw the silver wings and other treasures left by Blade River Emperor fly toward Luo Feng's manor. These were the treasures melded by Luo Feng, meaning he could easily summon them. The reason his Mosha body did not gather his treasures was that the Mosha clan could not assemble the general armor and the general soul. Only a body with flesh and blood could wear the general armor, and only the soul of an earthling could use the general soul. Of course, his golden-horned beast body could also summon his treasures. However, the golden-horned beast was so enormous that if it exited the internal world, it would fill the sky. Numerous heirs watched the items fly toward Luo Feng's mansion. "What?" they said. "Why did the treasures fly inside?" "Blade River Emperor is not dead," someone said. "Those are treasures melded by him, of course. He can summon them. But we saw him killed and annihilated, how could he?" Tens of millions of Emperor-level, undying great beings, plenty of Universe Knights, and even 7-Blade Emperor stared at Luo Feng's residence attentively. Honed Heart Emperor, who had been standing at the gate without stepping out, bowed with respect. "Master." A figure had come out of the mansion, a youth from the human race dressed in silver armor and a pair of silver battle boots. The Shi-Wu wings unfolded behind him. It was Blade River Emperor, back from the dead. Stunned, the heirs from various races watched Luo Feng as he walked out from his manor. They murmured among themselves in hushed voices. "It's him. It's the Blade River Emperor. He is surprisingly safe and sound. Does he have the legendary talent to have multiple bodies?" Luo Feng bowed to the beast god in the air. "Master of the island," he greeted. Looking downward, the guarding beast god answered, The great beings who wanted to kill Luo Feng, Light Perception Knight included, were shocked to see Blade River Emperor die and reappear. They now realized that killing Blade River Emperor was thousands of times harder than they had imagined. Meanwhile, the great beings from the human race, such as 7-Blade Emperor and Cha-Man Emperor, along with numerous heirs, now realized that Blade River Emperor was exceedingly strong and mysterious. This video will end here.